What up guys, Metal983 here bringing you me top 25 albums of 2019 video. Now first and foremost we're going to address the elephant in the room, and that is, where the fuck am I? Yeah, I'm in a new location once again, but I'm not going to address this because this is going to come in an upcoming video which I'll address everything what's going on in my life, and that will probably end up being an updates and purchases where I showcase all the shit that I've been buying and tell you about what's been happening in my life. So keep an eye out for that in the upcoming future whenever it comes about, because things are a little bit slow at the moment and I want to come back swinging, should we just say. But yeah, I'm here to do my top 25 albums of 2019, as well as my honourable mentions and my favourite EP of the year. Now I'm not going to mention my favourite split of the year because honestly I haven't listened to many splits in 2019 and nothing's really stuck out for it to be a favourite release, you know, so I'm just going to gloss over that one. But I am going to talk about my favourite EP, which is going to go to Still Bloom with Melancholia. Now I talked about this in a review not too long ago, and honestly still to this day that EP blows me the fuck away, and honestly it is probably one of my favourite releases of 2019 period. I've listened to it so much. I love the heaviness of it, I love the chaotic noisiness of it and the intensity, and it's honestly absolutely incredible if you ask me. So if you want to check, if you're into that new wave of new metalcore and down tempo, then this is definitely a release you need to check out. Still Bloom with Melancholia, easily my favourite EP of 2019. Now we'll get into the honourable mentions, and ironically enough the honourable mentions that I picked are number 28, 27 and 26, so go figure. So let's whittle through these as we go, and then we'll get on to the top 25, because that's obviously what you're here for. Coming in at number 28 we have the first honourable mention is going to go to Humanity's Last Breath with Abyssal. Now this band I've been following for quite a few years now, since it was their last full-length album and their last EP, because I was a massive fan of those releases, and this new album in my opinion is just something really fucking special if you ask me. They are definitely a one-of-a-kind band in deathcore if you ask me. Very atmospheric and very powerful. They are a heavy band, but they're not like a over-exacerbated, you know, intense, meaty sounding band. They're just very powerful with their instrumentations and the overall production behind it, and it really adds to the overall atmosphere of this album. It executes like no other album that I've heard in 2019. So make sure you check out Humanity's Last Breath with their new album entitled Abyssal, released under Unique Leader Records, and also check out my review on my channel if you want to hear more. Now also, the next honourable mention is going to go to a black metal release that I have fallen in love with in 2019, and that is Batushka with the other Batushka album, Christoph I believe his name is, his version of Batushka. And honestly that album in my opinion is the true sound of Batushka. Like the other Batushka, that album I believe it was called Hospody or whatever, yeah, it was a decent listen, but in my opinion, I just found it completely fucking boring, if you ask me, in general. Like, it just didn't withhold any, like, mysticism, if you ask me, which is what I looked for and really appreciated about the first Batushka album. And then this album, when they parted ways and they were both going to bring out albums, this one was the one that I connected with the most, and I absolutely love it. And honestly, I think this is the true Batushka, and I hope that I get to see them live on their UK tour, because I'd rather not see the other Batushka, personally. Anyway, moving on, we have the last honourable mention, which is going to go to Issues with their new album entitled Beautiful Oblivion. Now, in my personal opinion, Headspace was an absolutely incredible album, and when I found out that the scream vocalist, harsh vocalist, I can't remember his name, when he was leaving the band, I honestly thought to myself that the band was going to go in a different direction and it wasn't going to be the same, but they proved us wrong. This is an infectiously catchy... Hello, mate. infectiously catchy release, and something that I feel bridges a real new divide in the metal genre with pop. I know Bring Me the Horizon kind of did that for a long time with Ammo and That's the Spirit, you could say. But I feel like this album is the true divide. I mean, it's just pop song structures and lyrics and stuff like that, but the music is metal and the riffs are absolutely killer, if you ask me. And this, in my opinion, is definitely an album that has really grown on me since its release. Like, at first I wasn't really feeling it, but after listening to it a couple of times, I have fallen in love with it. So, and I think you will as well. So make sure you check out Issues with Beautiful Oblivion if you're open-minded to, you know, experimenting in a new sound, definitely. So anyway, we're going to crack on with the top 25 albums of 2019. Now remember, this is my list, not yours. Obviously, you're going to have a different opinion to me. So let's crack on with this. But first off, say hello to our boy Arthur. What's up? Yeah. Anyway, moving on, the top 25 list. And coming in at number 25, we have Lionheart with their new album, The Valley of Death. Now, this album was an album that has only fairly recently been released, and in all honesty, after listening to this album to a bunch of times, I have absolutely fallen in love with this album. Like, I've always enjoyed Lionheart's music, but this, to me, is the best thing that I have done so far. I love the intensity. It feels heavier. It feels more punchy. It feels like an actual punch to the face when you listen to this album. It's got a lot more aggression behind it, I feel. And the riffs just kick in a lot harder. I definitely feel like it is one of the strongest hardcore albums to come out in 2019. And another hardcore album that has come out in 2019 that I was really impressed with was Straight From The Path. But Lionheart definitely impressed me the most with this album. It's absolutely fantastic, and you need to hear it if you haven't already. And as you can probably guess, we're not going to be showcasing CDs during this top albums list because all my CDs are still packed away. Hint, hint to what's coming in the future. But yeah, I have got me top album set aside, ready, so keep an eye out for when that comes. Anyway, coming in at number 24, we have Ginger with their new album entitled Macro. Now, this is the band's third full-length album, following up from their second album entitled King of Everything. Now, King of Everything, in my opinion, was a real defining album in the past 10 years, you could, or even in the past 5 years, let's narrow it up, in the metal genre. These guys really started a massive thing for themselves with that album, with the, I think it was Sit, Stay, Roll Over was the single, and I fell in love with that single. And then they brought out a little EP before this album called Micro, which was a more progressively influenced sort of release. And I feel like this album definitely incorporates both sides of Micro and King of Everything. And in my personal opinion, this might be the band's strongest release so far. I absolutely adore listening to Sam because the musicianship is on another level and the vocals are something to behold, if you ask me. She is becoming one of the most iconic modern day metal vocalists, and quite rightly so, because this album is absolutely fantastic. It's such a joy to listen to, and it's something that you need to hear if you haven't already. Get yourselves with the times and check out Ginger with their new album Macro. Right. Coming in at number 23, we have Cognizance with their debut album entitled Malignant Dominion. Another album I reviewed on this channel, and honestly, this album, when it comes to albums that I was really anticipating in 2019, this was definitely one of them albums. It was probably the most look forward to debut album of 2019, if you ask me. And it delivered on all fronts, if you ask me. As you know, I have a soft spot for really solid tech death, and this one is definitely one of the best technical death metal releases that you will hear in 2019. I absolutely adore the technicality behind this because it's not obnoxiously wankery in any way. It's not over the top. It's just really riff heavy, to be honest, but it's still very technical, but the production is very bright. And listening to this album from beginning to end, for all it's a short album, I think it's only 30 minutes in length, it delivers on all fronts from beginning to end, and it's fun to listen to, and definitely a tech death album that I really enjoy. So excuse me. If you haven't checked out Cognizance and their debut album Malignant Dominion, released under Prosthetic Records, then definitely check this one out. Coming in at number 22, we have one of the most solid and most intense deathcore releases of 2019, and that has to go to Brand of Sacrifice with their album God Hand, and this, I believe, is the band's debut full length, following up from their debut EP entitled Interstice, I believe it was called, and that EP blew me away when I first heard it, and I was really excited to see what would become of a Brand of Sacrifice full length, especially since Unique Leader was going to be releasing this album. What could it entail? And what we got was a full-on anime themed, absolute intense, diabolical and just ferocious release, if you ask me. And Brand of Sacrifice Gone Hard, it is that absolute diabolical intensity that I expected from the EP, or got from the EP, just amplified yet again. And it's when I said it's anime themed, it's themed around the anime The Berserk, I think it's called. I have never watched that anime, but I really do want to watch it. I don't watch anime, but after listening to this album, I do really want to check this shit out. This album is just incredible. It's dark, it's fast, it's intense, it's brutal. What more could you want from a deathcore release in 2019? Absolutely fantastic. Brand of Sacrifice with God Hand. Absolutely fantastic. Alright, coming in at number 21, we have Thy Art Is Murder with their new album, Human Target. Thy Art Is Murder need no introductions. They are becoming one of the big name dogs in deathcore, and they are one of the big names in the deathcore genre, and quite rightly so. They have pumped out incredible album after incredible album after incredible album, if you ask me. Every album they've done from Hate to now has been incredible, and Human Target, in my opinion, joins that spectrum, because this album is continuing along the same sort of lines of Dear Desolation, where it was more riff heavy bass, proper strong song structures going on with choruses and stuff like that, but really keeping that intensity and heaviness and oomph that Thy Art Is Murder has always been known for. And in my opinion, they can do no wrong, if you ask me. Every album has impressed me in one way or another, and Thy Art Is Murder's Human Target has made it onto my top albums this year. And if you're a fan of deathcore and you don't know who Thy Art Is Murder is yet, get with the fucking times, guys. Come on. Anyway, we're going to move on to another deathcore release. At number 20, we have Spite with The Root of All Evil. Now, this is another one that's fairly recent to this top albums list, because honestly, over the years, I've never really got the hype behind Spite, to be honest. Like, I listened to I think it was their debut album, or the last one, the white one. I listened to that and even went back to the older stuff, and I just couldn't click with it. I just didn't understand the hype personally. But then I decided to give this new album a spin just because I really like the album cover and how the simplicity behind it. It just striked out to us, and I thought, alright, I'm going to give them another shot. And I'm glad I did, because from the minute I put it on, I was just like, this is not the Spite I remember. I remembered, for some reason, I like heavier, hardcore sort of band, kind of like the Acacia Strain sort of thing. But this wasn't. This was more intense, this was more blasting, and this was more straight up deathcore, just intensity. And quite frankly, this blew me away, this album. And quite frankly, they've made a fan out of us now. I think this album is absolutely fantastic, and definitely one of the big time deathcore releases in 2019 that you need to hear. And a lot of people's been talking about it, and quite rightly so, because this album, in my opinion, is incredibly brutal and something you definitely need to hear. Alright, Coming in at number 20, oh sorry, that was number 20. Coming in at number 19, we have The City Is Ours with their debut album entitled Law. Now, The City Is Ours, I've heard their name going about the UK scene quite a bit over the past couple of years, but I never actually took the time to actually check them out. And when they dropped this debut album, I decided to check it out. And the first song I heard featured a guest vocal spot from the singer from Our Hollow, Our Home, which are one of my favourite UK-based bands in general. And I was really impressed from the song in general. And then when his guest spot came in, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to stick with this album and see what it's like. And after that, I started listening to the album more and more and more. And the lyrics started getting immersed in my head, and honestly, I couldn't turn this album off. I think this is absolutely fantastic. The UK metalcore scene at the moment is absolutely fantastic, and The City Is Ours is definitely one of the bands that you should keep an eye on excuse me, in 2020, because this album is going to lead them into a bright future, and I cannot wait, because this album is fucking amazing. If you're into metalcore or post-hardcore or modern metalcore, then this is definitely an album for you to check out. Alright, coming in at number 18, we have an album that you knew was going to be on this list, and it's landed at number 18, and that is Cattle Decapitation with their new album, Death Atlas. And honestly, if this album came out a couple of months prior to when it was released, this would be up in the top dogs, like the top 5 list, because this album is fucking amazing, and this truly completes what they've been working towards with Monolith to Inhumanity and Monolith of Inhumanity. I think that's what it is. Anyway, Monolith of Inhumanity, the Anthropocene Extinction. This is what it's led to Death Atlas, because this is easily their most precise, the most incredible and most breathtaking album that Cattle Decapitation has done yet. And quite frankly, this album is just wow, it puts you in awe just listening to it. Travis Ryan is an absolute vocal genius, if you ask me. Like, his range nowadays is just unmatched, and Cattle are a one-of-a-kind band. There's no band on this planet that sound like Cattle Decapitation, or there's a band that, yeah, maybe they take some influence from Cattle Decapitation, but there is no band that'll ever sound like Cattle Decapitation. And quite frankly, this album is the epitome of their career, and it is breathtaking to listen to. It will make your jaw drop, as it did mine. So, coming in at number 18, we have Cattle Decapitation with Death Atlas. Coming in at number 17, we have another metalcore release in the shape of Envisions with Between You and Me. Now, this was one of the earlier albums that I listened to in 2019, and something that stayed at the top spot for quite a while. And I absolutely fell in love with this album when I first listened to it, and I still listen to it a lot, and I still get so much enjoyment for it even today. I mean, this was my first exposure to the band. Like, I'd heard bits and bobs of them, like maybe a couple of songs here and there, but I hadn't dwelled into an album until I heard this one, and this absolutely took me breath away. As far as modern metalcore goes, this is definitely one of my favourites in that term of modern metalcore. Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic, and you just need to hear it. If you're into modern metalcore, definitely check it out. If you're a fan of the likes of Wage War, Attila, or what's the band called? That's gone from my head. But yeah, make sure you check out this album. It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Envisions with Between You and Me. Coming in at number 16, we have some melodic hardcore right here. And I don't usually talk about melodic hardcore, but this album definitely was one of my favourites of 2019. And that has to go to Paula with their new album, Nova. Now, as I said, I don't really listen to much melodic hardcore. I mean, closest I really get is the likes of Being as an Ocean or The Ghost Inside, stuff like that. But it's mainly around the main well-known bands, so I don't really dwell into smaller bands. But anyway, this album, in my opinion, blew me away when I first heard it, and I kept on listening to it again and again, and quite frankly, it has become one of my favourite releases of 2019 that I had on repeat quite a lot. And if you haven't heard it, make sure you do so. It is absolutely fantastic. Such a really powerful release. A lot of emotion you can feel going into this album, and it is an absolute joy to listen to. So make sure you check out the new Paula with their new album entitled Nova. Alright. We're going to go back into some technical stuff right now. And coming in at number 15, we have Compelled to Suffer by the band Harbinger. Now, Harbinger I've been following for quite a few years, ever since their debut EP. And since then, they have brought out a second EP, and now they have fulfilled my absolute desire in a full-length album. And did it deliver? Hell fucking yes, it did. This is an absolutely incredible piece of kind of technical death metal with some like deathcore sort of influence here and there, and maybe some metalcore here and there. But honestly, all these influence coming in with this album, it is absolutely incredible. Here, there's riffs. There is some mighty fucking riffs on this album, if you ask me. And Arthur's coming to say hi. So anyway, come here, you. You want to say hi to the camera? Yeah. Anyway, Harbinger have absolutely outdid themselves with this album, and quite frankly, it is definitely one of the best in 2019. So if you haven't heard this album, make sure you do so. It is absolutely fantastic and definitely a riffer in technical death metal. Along with Cognizance, they definitely encapsulated me in 2019. Alright, coming in at number 14, we have a UK-based band that has definitely took the UK by storm with this debut album, and quite rightly so, because it is, wow, what a release. And I'm talking about MTXS with their debut album entitled Ache. Holy shit, man. After seeing these guys bring absolute fucking violence left, right and centre, seeing them twice this year, obviously supporting them with Casting Tevra's debut show, and then seeing them at Fall in the Brawl in November. Every time they absolutely brought it, and I just absolutely love this band, and this album I absolutely love, and it's definitely one of the highlight albums of 2019 for me. Not just me, but for my band as well. And we listen to this on repeat, and yous need to as well. It's absolutely fantastic, if you ask me. So make sure you check out MTXS. They are heavy as fuck hardcore. Great stuff. Anyway, coming in at number 13, unlucky for some, as I say every year, but not unlucky for some, is Chokran with their new album entitled Ethereal. Now, this album was another one that came out earlier in the year that, wow, could have been up there in the top albums list, but honestly, this album is, in my opinion, the best stuff they have done today. And it's something, as a musician, that I listen to this album and I can't help but bask in its brilliance. It's incredible musicianship. Everything about this album, in my opinion, just screams out quality, precision, heaviness, and just wow factor. This is something that, if you're a fan of death metal, you're going to love this. If you're a fan of metalcore, you're going to love this. If you're a fan of progressive stuff, you're going to love this. If you're a fan of metal, you are going to love this. This has a lot of stuff going for it, and it's something that you really need to hear in 2020, 2019, whenever you want to listen to this album. Just listen to it and you will be in awe. Honestly, this is absolutely fantastic. What? You want me attention now, do you? Look at my boy. Anyway, I keep on getting distracted by this pussycat. Anyway, moving on. No, you're not going up there, man. Anyway, coming in at number 12, we have another metalcore release. Now, metalcore has really overthrown me in 2019, which is very surprising me because I've been listening to a lot of deathcore, as you can tell. But metalcore has really impressed me a lot. And coming in at number 12, we have Borders with their debut album entitled Purify, the Yellow Album. Now, this album, it was in the lower half of me, like below 28 in my top albums. Like, I did listen to it a lot, but there was some other albums. But then fairly recently, I decided to go back to this album, and honestly, I fell in love with it again. And when I reviewed it, I fell in love with it, and quite frankly, I don't know why I knocked it further down, because this is fucking tremendous metalcore, if you ask me. It's very modern sound. It's still got that kind of genty feel that the band's been pretty well known for with their 2 previous EPs, but this definitely streamlines it and puts it in more of a straight up metalcore or modern metalcore sort of direction, but I feel like it works for them, and it just makes this album stand out a lot more, if you ask me. But every bit of this album I enjoy. I love the vocal performance, I love the lyrics, I love the riffs, I love everything about this album, and honestly, this is incredible stuff, and every time I listen to it, it gets knocked further up, but I think it's solidified itself at number 12 in my top albums list. So check out, excuse me, check out Borders and their debut album entitled Purify. Fucking awesome, if you ask me. Now, next up, we have an album that has probably stood at the top of my albums list the longest out of all these albums, but when solidifying, it ended up at number 11. But that's not to say this is a shit album, because honestly, every one of these albums blew me away, if you ask me. So, yeah. Coming in at number 11, rest in peace, Extortionist with Sever the Cord. Now, honestly, this album is probably the album that I listened to the most and got the biggest thrill from in 2019. Like, this honestly surprised the living shit out of me. Like, I expected, like, just another heavier, hardcore, deathcore sort of, with... well, a hardcore album with deathcore kind of influence, kind of like a Case Stray, and I know I keep on mentioning them. That's the sort of thing I was expecting. But this album, the band's took on a bit more of a different sort of vibe. I get some kind of like new metal, a bit of industrial, and a bit of metalcore sort of influence in the song, but it still has that heaviness, the grit, the anxiety, the intensity. Oh, it's unnerving to listen to, because when the breakdowns hit, they hit hard and they come swinging. But it's infectiously catchy, and that's what I feel like this album, why it stuck with me so much in 2019, because it's infectious, and I absolutely love this album. I showed a lot of people this album in 2019, and they all enjoy it. So make sure you check out Extortionist with Sever the Cord. They've left a legacy behind, especially with this album. Fucking incredible stuff. Alright. Coming in at number 10 is easily, like I said, Extortionist was infectious, but this next one was infectious, but it was also catchy as fuck. It put a smile on my face from beginning to end every time I listen to this album. And I'm talking about Volbeat with Rewind, Replay, Rebound. Now, Volbeat, as you may or may not know, are one of my favourite bands of all times, and the main reason behind that, should I just say, is because they put me in such a good mood. They are a good mood sort of band. They aren't something that I can walk around and headband to, or pull the stink face, you know, every time a sick breakdown comes on, you know. They are just a band when I'm in a rut, you know, when you're in that sort of place and you need your spirits uplifting. Volbeat never fail to do that, and this album is now my go-to album for that sort of vibe. I mean, the every little element of this album has just made it even more infectious, even more catchy, and just overall just more and more fun. It's just such a swingy sort of album. Excuse me. And I know Volbeat's been very known for that, but there's something about this album just feels a lot more just fresher. It just feels a lot more fresher. And I think that kind of comes from the last album, Seal a Deal, Let's Boogie, which was a good album, but I feel like it could have been a little bit better, if you ask me. Whereas this one, wow, what an album. Absolutely incredible stuff. So make sure you check out Volbeat with their new album, Rewind, Replay, Rebound. They have become one of the biggest bands in Europe and the world right now. And to be honest, I still class them as underrated, and I always will do. So anyway, moving on. Coming in at number 9, we have Ghost Iris with Apple of Discord. Now, honestly, I never thought Gent could be this fucking heavy and this fucking good, man. Like, this album really blew me away when I first heard it, and every time I listen to it. I mean, the intensity behind these grooves is just so weird. Like, hearing a Gent album that packs so much of a wallop, but still manages to keep all the elements that we all know and love Gent for are still there. The catchy cleans, the harsher screaming vocals, the genty percussiveness of the guitar, it's all there, but it's heavier, it's more intense, and in my opinion, the song structure on these songs are just incredible. The songs are so good. Oh, excuse me, my throat's going really dry from talking so much. People would say I should shut up, but oh well, never gonna happen. But anyway, Apple of Discord, easily one of the most breathtaking albums of 2019, and I absolutely love it, so make sure you check it out. I've been a fan of Ghost Iris for years, and especially seeing them supporting After the Burial just highlighted why I love this album, so make sure you check it out. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Anyway, excuse me. Now, in my opinion, Unique Leader knocked it out of the park this year with the top albums, because they brought out so much quality, if you ask me. And one of those is at number 8 with Distant with Tyrannotophia. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Yeah. Obviously, forming Casting Tephra, forming a deathcore band, and working at this project, and sharing me love of deathcore, showing some new bands to the guys, and one of them being Distant. The guys have fallen in love with this band, and so have I. Like, when I first heard this album, when I got the promo, I absolutely loved it. I reviewed it on the channel, but then after hyping them up with the lads and seeing them live again this year, highlighted why I absolutely love the Distant lads. Their EP that they released, Tsukuyomi, I believe how it was pronounced. Yeah, that was an absolutely incredible album, EP in general, but this album, this is fucking devastatingly heavy, if you ask me, and quite frankly, it's easily one of the heaviest releases of 2019, and to be honest, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this album, and I think that is absolutely disgusting, because this album is just, it's filthy. You need a fucking wash after you listen to this album. It's fucking stupidly heavy. Make sure you check it out. Distant with their debut album entitled Tyrannotophia. Fucking insanely good stuff. Slamming, brutal, down tempo, you could say. Incredible, incredible stuff. And we're going to get heavier and heavier right now with number 7 and 6. But coming in at number 7 has to go to Trias with their new album Repent. Now, honestly, their last EP, what was it called? Short Fuse, I think it was called. I can't remember. The last, Anger Issues, that was it. Yeah. I thought it was good, but it didn't captivate us as much as the likes of Mental State or the Hate Campaign did. So I wanted to see what was going to become of Trias, and they announced that they were going to bring out a new album. So I pre-ordered it, not hearing a song, and just was ready to hear some new Trias. And when I got it in, I stuck it on. I just finished work, and I remember sticking it on my speakers and just sitting, just ready for this album. And when the first song kicked in, I was literally smacked straight into the fucking wall, and I was just like, this is absolutely freaking heavy as fuck. This is everything that I want a Trias to be on the Mental State album. Like, Mental State was heavy and really fucking good, but I felt like it could have been heavier. And this is, in my opinion, the heaviest thing that Trias has done. I mean, excuse me, you just need to hear one song, Left to Rot. That breakdown at the end just fills me with so much intensity and makes me hairs stand on end each fucking time. no matter how many times, if I'm listening to that song on repeat, like say I'm walking to work, listening to that song on repeat, I could listen to it 3 times or 4 times, and by the first or the 4th time, still the same reaction. I'm expecting it, I'm ready for it, and it still knocks us off guard. Wow, what an album from beginning to end. It is absolutely fantastic if you ask me. So, Trias with Repent. Heavy as fuck, man. Anyway, coming in at number 6, we have another down-tempo release, and this, in my opinion, is the heaviest down-tempo release of 2019, and that has to go to Bound in Fear with The Hand of Violence. And this is the sound of fucking violence. I mean, wow, this is heavy as fuck, man. This is just, there's no other way. It's just heavy, slow, angry, menacing. It's fucking menacing, man. Like, this is just incredible stuff. This is dangerous to have this album on, and quite frankly, excuse me, it is something incredible to listen to. So if you haven't heard this album, make sure you do so. Bound in Fear with The Hand of Violence. Wow. Anyway, coming in at number 5 is an... Oi, what are you doing?
Now in setup mode. Please follow the instructions in your
Excuse me.
Alexa app.
Anyway, sorry about that. My cat decided to fight with Alexa. Oh well. Anyway, let's carry on. Coming in at number 5, you kind of knew this one was going to be in there as well, and that is Killswitch Engage with Atonement. Killswitch Engage, my 3rd favourite band of all times, which have probably moved to number 2 given the new Slipknot. Slipknot is my 2nd favourite band, but now I guess I've moved to number 2. To number 3, and Killswitch number 2. You get it, because this new album, I'm going to say it now, it's probably my favourite Killswitch Engage album. Like, I've listened to this album relentlessly since it came out, and every time I listen to it, I have a new favourite song. And you know what? This album is just Killswitch Engage doing what Killswitch Engage have done for many, many years, and pull off the greatest metalcore you will ever hear in your lifetime. From all their discography, they have put together the best metalcore, and Atonement is the epitome of their career. But I feel like a new beast has been awakened in Killswitch Engage, because this album feels a lot more emotionally driven. It's tackling a lot of stuff to do with mental health, which is a big thing in 2019, and it's getting more help nowadays than it ever has before, and that is great to hear. But this album helps a lot of people, and I know this firsthand, and it helps me a lot because it is such a powerful album. It sings so much, and wow, it is fucking breathtaking to listen to. And cheeky bit on the side, that duet with Howard Jones on the Signal Fire, ooh-wee. That collaboration we knew we all needed, and it is finally here. And I'm just jealous as fuck for you fucking Americans out there who get to see Light the Torch and Killswitch Engage absolutely tear up America. Fuck the lot of yous. That needs to happen in the UK, guys. Seriously. Anyway, coming in at number 4, we have another Unique Leader release, and this one really took me by surprise, and that is the new Mental Cruelty with Infurus. Another promo I received from Unique Leader, and this is another one that I never listened to anything for. Even the single that they released with Jack Simmons prior, I didn't even listen to that. I wanted to, I was too engulfed in Purgatorium, because that, in my opinion, is still a brutal as fuck album. So when they announced that they were signing to Unique Leader Records, and I got the promo for the new album, I went in blind and just was like, okay, another new album from them. Can they top Purgatorium? Of course they fucking can. This album is, in my opinion, one of the highlights of 2019 and easily one of the most memorable deathcore releases of 2019, because they have took what they had on Purgatorium and added more blackness, more sinister diabolicalness to it, and it really adds some more cynical vibes that make Mental Cruelty an absolute scary force in the deathcore genre, and Inferus is the epitome of that, if you ask me. It is, wow, it's just scary as fuck to listen to, and quite frankly, it is absolutely incredible. And I remember I showed the lads in my band when we were on our way to a gig. I think it was Extermination Dismemberment in Manchester. And I said to them, you need to hear the new Mental Cruelty. And they were like, alright, put it on. So I put it on my iPod because I had it on there. And they were literally in awe listening to it. And I was like, yeah, so am I still. So, yeah. Mental Cruelty, Inferus, absolutely incredible album. Anyway, you knew this one was going to come in the list as well. Whitechapel with The Valley coming in at number 3. Cleans and Deathcore. Yeah, fucking right it should. I mean this album, honestly, after hearing the last album, Mark of the Blade, I was starting to give up on Whitechapel, because I felt like every part of that album besides Bring Me Home sounded like B-sides of what's it called? What's the album? Our Endless War. Yeah, it just felt like a B-side. It just didn't captivate us. Like, Bring Me Home and Elitist Ones are probably the only tracks I listen to off that album anyway. But yeah, this album is something else, man. This is easily one of the most original sounding deathcore albums I've ever heard in a long time, and it's something that I listen to on repeat. Phil Bozeman has proved why he is one of the best, if not the best, metal vocalist of all time. Like, his clean vocals, since obviously it was only one song on Mark of the Blade, whereas this album, cleans are all over this album, and they are filled with so much emotion, because obviously this is coming from Phil Bozeman's childhood and his upbringing being poured into an album, and it is something that brings a tear to your eye. But honestly, it's just such a breathtaking album. And honestly, I know this is a bit of a controversial thing to say, but it's one of my favourite Whitechapel albums. Honestly, I think it is. Honestly. Shut up. Anyway, but yeah, I do think this is an absolutely incredible album. In all honesty, I prefer it to the debut, The Somatic Development. I think this is a better album, in my personal opinion. I think it's better. Fight me. Unsubscribe. Fuck off. Anyway, but yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. Whitechapel have outdid themselves, and quite rightly so. This is breathtaking, but they are still a heavy as fuck band, and easily the biggest band in the deathcore genre. Alright, coming in at number 2, we have From Sorrow to Serenity with their new album, Reclaim. Now, this was something I was very looking forward to in 2019, where after Remnant of Humanity, I think that was the name of the album, I was a big fan of that album, but then when they parted with their vocals and got Gaz in, formerly of Neck Silver, I was really looking forward to see what they could do with him on vocals. And after hearing Golden Age, the single that they dropped with him, I was like, yeah, he's becoming an absolute mammoth of a vocalist, if you ask me. So I was eager to see what was going to come. Was it going to be an EP or a full-length album? Turns out it was going to be a full-length album, and I immediately jumped on to see if it was possible that I could review, and I got the promo, and honestly, this album is probably the second most played album, and that's why I referred to the top 5 as the ones that I played the most, you know, in time of when they came out and to now, like, doing it in that sort of way. And Reclaim comes in at number 2 because I listen to this album so fucking much, and honestly, probably my track of the year has to be Perpetrator. I absolutely love that song. The riffs, the vocals, that catchy as fuck chorus, the lyrics, everything about this album is absolutely incredible. Gaz's vocals are incredible, riffs from beginning to end, and it's just absolutely incredible. And this is definitely something that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about in 2019, but people need to get on this shit, because this is absolutely fantastic. So coming in at number 2, we have From Serenity with Reclaim. Fucking incredible stuff. Anyway, coming in at number 1, as I said, I've got the CD at the side. I think I said at the start, but anyway, this one, as I said, the top, let's have a look, the top 8, let's say, or top 11, let's go with top 11, could be interchangeable depending on my mood. So I decided to go with players, overall feels, and stuff that, including like how much I listened to since it came out and stuff like that, taking everything into account, and it ended up being a kind of like 11-way tie, you could say. But I decided to sort it out, and I decided to give my album of the year to an album that I have listened to the most, and the one that, in my opinion, has just blew me away in 2019. All of them blew me away, but this is the one that I listen to the most, and it is absolutely incredible, if you ask me. And I'm so proud of me boys, because they have done so much in 2019, and I just cannot wait to see what is coming for them in 2020 and the upcoming future. Ladies and gentlemen, my album of the year for 2019 is going to go to Ohsir with Kingdom of Lies. Wow, deathcore absolutely trounced 2019, if you ask me. So many great releases, but the one that I listened to the most, and something which I feel like punched me right in the fucking face, was Kingdom of Lies. And I feel like Ohsir, compared to Terra Firma, I'm saying it right, guys, Terra Firma was an absolutely incredible album. I think it was number 3 in the top albums of the year it came out. I can't remember which year it was. I think it was 2016, 2017. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was 2017. Anyway, no, it was. Moving on. But yeah, since then, I have listened to the hell out of Terra Firma, and to have some fresh new material from Ohsir that is, in my opinion, heavier than that shit, and just filled with a lot more emotion, a lot more precision, and just a lot more dynamic. It is the whole package when it comes to deathcore and the modern sound of deathcore. It's got a bit of down-tempo influence, it's got a bit of slam in there, but it is brutal as fuck. It's menacing and just incredible. And the album itself is a concept album. It's based on a story which is formed in a book, which is in the side, so you get a lyric book, and in the other side you get a storybook, which is a very, very interesting read. So make sure you have a read of that if you ever pick this up on CD. And I think the vinyl version has a little booklet as well. But yeah, this album is a whole package, if you ask me, and definitely something that the Ohsir lads should be proud of. And me, as a Northeast metalhead, and, you know, a member of the Northeast metal and core community, it's something I am immensely proud of as being a Northeast metalhead. And this is absolutely incredible stuff. So if you haven't heard this album, make sure you do so. It's absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. And yeah, it's definitely my album of the year for 2019. Absolutely fantastic. Ohsir with Kingdom of Lies, released under Unique Leader Records. They just finished wrapping up a tour with Decapitation, and I dread to think what that's going to lead them onto in 2020. I'm scared to see it, but I'm so looking forward to their future. But this album, I've listened to it so much this year, and I continue to get trounced by it, should we just say. But yeah, that's my top albums for 2019. As I said, I've got an update and purchases planned for the upcoming future, which will reveal all what's been going on in my life and get you all up to date. And then we'll try and get the videos on a consistent level once again. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming future, but it'll definitely be after the new year. So I'll see you in 2020, shall I say. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.